and hence why you ask, what's the intention?
Yes. So,
I appreciate that. No.
Yeah, like I would not want to be on an alt-right podcast or anything like that. Yeah.
I can totally appreciate that. You know, it's always a kind of a risky thing when you're saying yes to someone you've never met before, and you're like, okay, where's this going to go, and what's this going to all look like? So I'll give you a full disclosure. If you do not like the results afterwards, you can watch me delete all the footage. Does that sound fair?
Sounds
Sure.
good.
Awesome. Let me make sure.
Get an understanding what was actually going on.
Absolutely. And it's kind of like, you weren't planning for this morning, were you?
No.
Which is pretty awesome. So basically the gist is I've got a list. I just realized I forgot my list. Here's my, I've got some questions in my mind that we could explore. I'll give you maybe a selection of 1 to 3. And you'll choose the number, and then I'll give you the question. And then we'll kind of just hash it out for about 5 minutes. But the basic theme of my podcast is inspiring young men to integrity.
Okay.
Something that
I like that.
I appreciate it. It's just one of those things I think this is a worthwhile conversation having nowadays, right? So,
What brought you to it?
personal experience without integrity. And I was saying, I'd rather others not learn the painful way like I did in my own circumstance.
Respectable.
I appreciate that. Yeah. May I start off by names, though?
Sure.
You are
Tony,
Tony. Nice to meet you.
nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Dave. Okay, I'm trying to see how my memory goes. Tony, Dave.
Willow?
Willow.
Willow.
Willa.
Willow.
Willow.
O-W.
Gotcha. I was going to guess Willow, but I wasn't going to guess Willow. And you are?
Sabrina.
Sabrina? And mine's Binyam.
Nice to meet you, Benny.
All right, so let's have Willow choose the number 1 to 3.
3.
3? Okay. What is the difference between authenticity and integrity in you guys' perspective? Are they the same thing? Are they different? Well, what are the nuances there?
They can often overlap. If you are authentically somebody who's honest and upfront about what you speak, then you're being authentic to yourself. If you are somebody who is striving to be a person with integrity, then you're being authentic to yourself when you show that. I don't think that the two are necessarily mutually exclusive.
It might be helpful to even start defining the two. How do you guys see them different?
So
Tony, right?
No, Dave.
I'm Tony. He's
There we
Dave.
go.
Yeah. In terms of, we'll say integrity, that's like the goodwill. This is what you're trying to be. You're trying to be, an integral person. An authentic person is truthful. You wear your feelings on your sleeves,
Oh,
right?
I see.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Which one subsumes the other one? Which one's a part of the other one? Or
Well, they both overlap. You
They
can
overlap.
be, like a good person. You can be an integral person. And
Yeah.
then you can also be authentic. You can overlap.
Gotcha.
There is overlap there.
Gotcha.
As he mentioned, they're not mutually exclusive. You can be a very authentic person, but not be very integral,
Person of
right?
integrity. So you can be a person of authenticity without integrity, is what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Can you be a person of integrity with... Sabrina's like, I'm not sure about that. I'll get back to you, darling, in just a moment. Can you be a person of integrity without authenticity?
Yes,
You can.
I think so.
And how does that work?
It is complicated.
Okay.
But I think the best thing is you could try your best to be a good person and show your outward and all of this stuff, but you could just be faking it the whole time. You could have this outward appearance of you that you're being, look at how good I am,
Right.
put yourself on this high pedestal, and then behind closed doors, you're, not the best person.
So then...
That wouldn't be much integrity, though. Integrity really depends on what you do when you're not being watched. It's somebody who's able to hold on to those values, and I think that's the integral part here. It's what are your values?
Gotcha.
If part of your values to make you an authentic person is to have integrity, then you can't have that integrity without being authentic, and it kind of plays back into each other.
I guess for me the difference lies in, are you upfront about the truth? Is it, for at least in terms of integrity, it's, are you honest and upfront at the start? If there's a problem, like for me at work, if there's something that I think I've done wrong, I go straight to my supervisors. I get ahead of it. That's acting with integrity. Whereas authenticity is more speaking about, are you being true to your personality with people? Like, am I only showing certain traits because other people expect them from me, or do I feel like I actually believe in what I'm putting forth? Like for me, if I were a person without integrity, but I was trying to show more of that, if I was trying to grow to somebody who has integrity, and I'm trying to be more honest from the get-go, yeah, I would say that's authentic to who you're aspiring to, and it's showing integrity.
Of the two, which is more difficult?
Integrity.
Why so?
Because authenticity, you shed those masks, you shed everything, you're back in your natural state. Integrity, sometimes it can get you in trouble. Sometimes there are consequences for showing integrity, and it can look, you may be scared of looking bad when showing integrity. There's a lot more vulnerability to integrity, I think.
Today there seems to be like a really big celebration for being authentic. Why do we not hear as much on the zone of integrity as far as that being encouraged or extolled?
Have a different thought about that.
Am I correct though? Like everyone's all about be yourself and stand up for what your true expression is.
There's a very individualistic culture right now. It's very much against the collective. It's very much these echo chambers that happen due to the fact that, we'll say, on the internet, it's an excellent tool for communication, but it also allows you to find people that may have similar values. Sometimes those values are great. Those values might be, I like bugs, so I found a community of people that love bugs and all this stuff. And other times it's, oh, well, I'm me and the world doesn't like me, and then you find other people that say the same thing, say similar things, and it becomes this toxic circle. And by encouraging everyone to be toxic, everybody just gets worse, and you never hear outside opinions. You're only hearing the circle's opinions, and then it just becomes
I find
a
it
cesspool.
interesting that you mentioned the internet, because that kind of plays back into the authenticity versus integrity. It's easier enough to be, I guess you could call it authentic, because you're not worrying too much about what people's opinions are, and it doesn't reflect exactly on you, because you get to be anonymous in many cases. And then people tend to lack integrity, because what they're doing online doesn't necessarily match what they'd rather present to the world. There aren't the consequences of being a person who lacks integrity.
And you mentioned something too, Sabrina, earlier about it's who you are when no one's watching. And there's not a lot of people watching you specifically per se when you're behind the mask of anonymity online, for example.
Exactly.
Right? Of the two, which takes more energy? Integrity again. Now, there's such an encouragement, like we were saying, about authenticity today, but why do many people still find authenticity difficult?
It's vulnerability. Go for it.
Yeah.
Vulnerability.
And like I have a lot of anxiety. It takes a lot to be, authentic, and it's vulnerable to put yourself out there and risk being seen as weird or different or anything like that. So for me, integrity is almost easier because it's like I have like pretty solid like morals and grounding, but it's harder to be authentic with like all the weird other things, like just personality things.
Do you kind of see integrity as a set of rules that you follow in your own head?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it too.
Yeah, it's more like this is just like the rules versus like personal expression of being authentic.
Yeah. And then what happens when you find yourself interacting with people who have a different set of values that they align with their version of integrity that differs from yours? Like, how would you sort of like...
Everyone has their own code.
True enough.
It depends. There are some fundamental things where it's like, this is, and again, it depends on the scenario. If it's like at work, I don't really have a choice. It's like where you're gonna stay over there, I'm gonna stay over here. We're gonna have to coexist. Where if it's personal friendships, it's like, well, there are some fundamental values. It's like we can't be friends. And then there are some things that are like tiny, and it's like these are just personal differences.
I came across a perspective yesterday I'd never thought about. Let me share it with you guys and see what your thoughts are. The suggestion was there's a different expression of integrity in a platonic context amongst friends versus one in a romantic setting. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Is there a different expression or variety of integrity that one experiences or tries to actualize in those two different settings relationally? I never thought of it before. I'm like,
I mean,
I have the same set of values that I want to apply in all the relationships.
right
that I
across
have
the
in my
board.
life.
I think just as there are different rules with a romantic and platonic, or different expectations, I should
Gotcha.
say.
Yeah.
I think then how you show integrity is going to vary for that. Like, I think it'll cut deeper if there's higher expectations for integrity in your romantic relationships, depending on, once again, the relationship. I'm very close with my friends, so I think I have similar expectations for my friends as I do my romantic partners. But some people, they have those same expectations or different expectations for romantic partners, where there's established rules for communication, and violations for that are going to cut deeper than maybe with the friends.
Cool. A couple more questions, if I may. My theme, like I said, is for young men specifically. In general, do you guys feel young men are nailing it in integrity? Or are they finding challenges that they are having trouble navigating?
Challenges.
Challenges?
Definitely challenges. I think the hardest thing right now is culture in the past was very different than it is now. There was this very I have to be the macho man. You saw this in the 80s action movies and things like that. And things are changing to being more softer, which is a good thing. It's okay to cry. It's okay to show emotion, and that's an excellent
Be an authentic
thing.
human and have.
Yeah, men can have feelings too, and that's a fantastic thing. And although young men, some are approaching that and doing that with grace and integrity, and others, again, life is hard. Transitions are hard, and especially the younger you are, the more of these big transition and life choices that you have to do. And every time that happens, when things get too hard, sometimes they do retreat into something else, something that might not be so healthy. And so in that case, some are succeeding and others aren't. But it takes a lot to grow as a person. So as long as they're growing in a positive way and trying their best, I think that's great. But again, it depends on each individual. So some are better than others with this.
Anyone else have a different opinion from David?
Yes.
Okay, let me hear from the ladies first on this next subset of that question. And if you had the ears of young men, and I'll get to you gentlemen as well too. If you had the ears of young men collectively who are saying, we're interested, we'd like to grow and do better in integrity or living with integrity, but we need some helpful pointers or suggestions, where would you encourage them to consider beginning?
Of course, it always comes down to what a person's values are. But for me, what I look for in a friend, a partner, anyone who I want to interact with regularly, honesty is key. Being able to communicate about what's actually on your mind so you can work towards something as partners against it, rather than trying to fight against one another. Just having that approach to the world where you're doing your best and you want other people to succeed with you. And honesty is key for me. What about you?
I think the only thing I can think of, and I don't know if this is like the right direction to answer it in, but is to just surround yourself with the right kind of people. Because I do know, well, I have known a handful of guys who, like, alone they're cool, and then the second they're put with other people who have no integrity, that just folds.
That shows their lack of integrity too.
Yeah, and authenticity, because it's like, which one's really you? But yeah, just surrounding yourself with the right people, because I've even had people be like, oh, I'm not comfortable with them, and it's like, then why do you keep doing what they're doing? And
If you don't approve of this behavior, then why are you?
yeah,
It's a great point. I like it.
but I think that's all I got.
Thanks, Willow.
I think it really comes down to, again, similar to what Willow said, good friends are hard to come by. Do your best to keep them. And if someone is a jerk, if they're a negative person, it's okay to distance yourself from these people, because if you're a good person and you genuinely try to connect with people and you're honest, you're integral, and you're authentic, then you will find great people that you can spend time with that are great friends and hopefully lifelong friends. I know that's something I've been doing in my life, and it's been really great for me, both in every way, personally. And personally, professionally and relation-wise, just everything has been good for me that way. Good people are, keep them around.
Yeah.
I'd say first and foremost, you have to learn how to be honest with yourself. If you aren't looking inward and being real about where you are maybe a garbage person, maybe, where maybe, like, for me, I struggled with communication a lot, and I had to be honest. Like, I need to be braver with how I talk to people, and so that's where being upfront about the truth before it's asked about, before anything, that is important. And I came to that through my self-reflection. So you need to be honest with yourself first, or you're not even going to know where to improve yourself. And then secondly, you have to act on it. You have to take the time, put in the energy to show that bravery. You have to try, and I think that's what young men have to do, because there's a lot of ways in which we don't have to try as hard in society, and this is a place where we really have to step up.
I like that you mentioned the bravery, because it takes quite a bit to look inward, and not many people are comfortable with self-reflection.
I was going to follow up on that because that's a great observation. I like it all, by the way. But for a lot of people in general, but guys specifically, the scariest thing is to look at yourself, honestly. Right? What would be helpful in getting over that hump of fear that says, I don't like what I see, so I'm just going to abort mission in essence?
Well, I mean, we project. Whenever you're feeling yourself getting uptight, or if you're upset at something, think about, okay, what's upsetting me in my life? What's bothering me? And you just pick apart that. If there's something wrong in your relationship, any of your relationships, think inward first. Think about what you could be doing, and really dig into the source of that. Go to counseling. Take some ownership of your mental health. We as men, we're told we can do it on our own. No, we can't. Go to counseling. Be open with your friends. Hey, I think I'm being a jerk in this way. What would you have liked to have seen me do differently?
I think it's important to build that tool set.
Yeah.
Because it's okay to admit that you don't have certain skills to be able to cope with certain situations, and
Which
not
is
everyone
courage
has the
again.
same. Exactly. Like, you can't fix something until you figure out what's wrong. And at least that attitude helps me a lot. Because if I'm able to admit that something is being a problem, then I can start breaking it down and learning the skills that I need in order to become a better person, or to deal with situations in a way that's not toxic as heck.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really important, if you look at yourself and you see something you don't like, some people will just go, but that's fine.
But it's not.
I find it helps to just be like, okay, but that doesn't have to be permanent. It can be not fine, and that can change.
We can evolve.
You don't have to just either be like, but it's fine, or but we're ignoring that. You can be like, that's fine, and we can work on that. And having something that you need to work on doesn't inherently make you a bad person that's going to be a bad person forever.
And people aren't going to love you the way you are. You have to change. You have to be somebody that I hate that attitude of people should love you for who you are. No, that you should become the person that people should show that integrity. You don't have to change everything about yourself, but if you're being toxic, you need to make some changes
if you met
about
yourself, would you want to be around yourself? I think that's a really good litmus test for seeing what it is that you need to work on.
If you can't spend a week with yourself in a remote cabin, something's got to change.
This has been so delightful. My listeners are really going to appreciate, I think, the insights here. Last question is, do you guys have any questions for me?
The name of your podcast?
Oh, darling. You're sweet. Inspiring Young Men to Integrity. You can find it on YouTube under my name, Binyam Astris. Remember, a bin full of yams will get you to Binyam. Binyam Astris, and you'll find me there.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you for the time. I so appreciate it. Now, just to honor my promise, are you guys comfortable with what has happened here? You're okay with me presenting?
I'm fine with this,
Cool. Like I said, it's.
No, I'm fine.
Okay. I thought I saw a head shake and I wanted to check.
No, I'm good. I was looking between the people. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Thank you guys. I so appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I hope our paths will cross again sometime.
For
Nice
sure.
to meet you all too.
Yeah,
So-
nice meeting you.
Thanks for doing this.
My pleasure. I feel strongly about it. Tony,
Yes.
Dave, Willow, Sabrina. Woo. Hopefully I'll remember when I see you guys again. Have a great afternoon, y'all.
You too.
Okay, cheers.